Welcome to No More Bullshift. I'm Peggy.
And I'm Marcy.
We are two women who believe that life's trials aren't happening to us, they're happening for us.
And we're here to help you turn every why me into watch me.
Because shifting out of victim mode and into empowerment is what we do best.
So join us as we cut through the bullshift and help you see how strong you really are.
Hey, Marcy.
Hey, Peggy.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Just, getting ready for the new year.
Yes, so let's get into it.
All right, so I have a question. What is one intention you're focusing on for the new year?
I was recently reading this book and it talked about, when you're being a creative, just put it out there. And the authors, that's like, don't get in your head about things. She actually said, don't be judgmental of yourself. And I always pride myself on not being judgmental of others, but not being judgmental of myself is going to be kind of my theme. I think it creates more confidence. And I'm very judgmental of myself. But I think to be even more specific, I'm going to try to just inside, not out loud probably, give myself 3 compliments a day to lean into that.
Okay, I love that.
And what about you?
All right. Well, I think I am learning the lesson as we are winding down the new year that I need to let go of control. So I tend to lean into that whole masculine energy of do, go, go. And in the beginning of last year, I really was trying to step more into that feminine flow of taking time for self-care, specifically taking time for my needs. And I always felt guilty about that because I thought, well, no, create, go. This is an inefficient use of time and resources, and it's selfish and all of these things. So I kind of let go of some of those practices as the year went on. And as I am winding up this year, I'm realizing things got stickier when I stopped focusing on me. So I am actually going to make that my intention for 26, not to focus on myself, but to take time for flow, for just downtime. I'm actually in this challenge right now called the receiving mode.
Ooh.
And it is all about taking 15 minutes a day where you just relax. You don't, in your mind, you're not making lists. You're not producing anything. You are not on your phone. You are not reading a book. You are not listening to a podcast. You are doing nothing that takes mental energy. You are simply sitting in the moment where the moment is.
Wow.
It is hard as hell.
And how many minutes do you do it for?
15 minutes. I actually set my alarm. And the first 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, should I do a box breath? Should I be breathing? Should I be regulating my nervous system? Should I be making a list of things to do? I'm still, even just sitting there with my coffee in this beautiful environment, I'm still trying to be productive. It's very hard to shut that down. And then about halfway through, I can feel a release happen in my body. I feel my entire body go from tense and tight to,
Wow.
and I'm able to just lean into it.
Love that.
Yeah, and it feels really good. By the time it's over, I'm sad it's over.
Wow, that's good. That is good. All right, well, let's get into it. What are we talking about today?
New year, new me mindsets. And are they okay? Are they productive? Should we lean into them, or should we have a different perspective as we start the new year?
Love it. All right, I actually did a little research on New Year's resolutions. And the second Friday in January is considered Quitter's Day. And 80% of people fail their New Year's resolutions by February. But that's why you're here today, because we're going to help you if you want to level up, get out of victim mode. We are going to help you find the right steps to take to prevent being one of those negative statistics.
Well, I find it really interesting because I tend to take more of a practical approach to how a year runs. And I did some research to why do we even do this? Because it doesn't really, even to somebody who doesn't look at a Wheel of the Year or the Farmer's Almanac, which I think is so accurate. When you are looking at starting an intention on January 1st, you're in winter. nobody's motivated to start something new in winter. You're setting yourself up for failure. So I was like, why is that? Why did that even happen? So it's really fascinating that New Year's resolutions actually started 4,000 years ago in ancient Babylon in March. Which is when you have the spring equinox, right?
Yeah.
So you're going into that new beginning energy. And if you look at how farmers do things, that's when they start to do new things. That's when they start to till the soil. That's when they start to plant their seeds.
Yes.
We're actually working against nature when we start in January. But this was a very pagan tradition. They had a 12-day celebration called, I'm going to say it wrong. It's Akitu, Akitu. And it was something where they would make promises to the gods. And it was most commonly about returning their farming equipment so that they would receive divine favor. Then it ended up shifting to, as all things do, the ancient Romans. And Julius Caesar started the year that we now follow, where the new year started in January. So that's why New Year's resolutions shifted to January, because they started to follow the calendar Julius Caesar introduced, which, of course, he only did for tax purposes and for money. And so when that happened, what they started to do is they started to make promises to the god Janus, and who was a two-faced deity of beginnings and endings. So they promised good contact in the new year in favor of having abundance. So this was what they promised. Eventually, the Christians picked it up. And so they adopted the practice over time, and they viewed New Year's Day as a day for personal and religious reflection and to resolve to live a better life.
Okay.
And then in the modern era, this came over to America in the 18th century with Jonathan Edwards, who wrote down his resolutions meticulously, I guess, for self-improvement.
Ooh, love it.
And then other people picked this up. He was a big theologian. Other people picked this up. And by the 19th century, this became a very popular approach people took. And it also was very satire. Satire. But there's a different way of saying it. In publications, they would use a lot of satire around it. And so it sort of became this big joke.
Okay.
And here we are now.
Yes.
Yeah. And so here we are now with a lot of people creating these New Year's, new me resolutions and failing.
I kind of like that it's in January because I feel like it's a little bit of like a butterfly caterpillar situation. Like we're in our cocoon of January where we can have a lot of time to grow and transform and recreate and reinvent. And we don't have the distractions of like daylight, daytime, all that. And then come spring, we're ready to like come out the butterfly.
I think you're right. And I also disagree with you.
Okay, tell me.
And here's why. I agree that it's a great time to go into our cocoons. Bears hibernate. If you follow just the patterns of nature, and we are natural, right?
Yep.
If you follow the patterns of nature, this is a time where people are going in. So it is a great time to reflect. What is it that I want to bring? What is it I want to transform into? What are some really healthy intentions that I want to set? However, you are working against the energy if you try to take action. It's cold. Nobody wants to get up and go to the gym when it's freezing outside, right? Nobody's going out for walks in nature unless they already have that habit set. It's very easy to talk yourself out of things when you are in a place that is saying, stay in bed, stay warm, stay cozy, eat this very comforting food, drink these really warm, delicious drinks. There's just so many things working against you versus when you get to daylight, when you get to the days are starting to be longer, you want to get up out of bed. You have more motivation. You've got all of that vitamin D coming at you from the sun. It's motivating you. It's getting you to spur you into action. The challenge comes when in January we're trying to go outside of that inner reflection and growth and soil creation, and we try to go into do. and we're trying to make things bud and come out and have all these new beginnings. It's not time yet. We're working against that.
Interesting. Well, so do you think people shouldn't make New Year's resolutions in January?
I think people shouldn't. I don't think they shouldn't not make a resolution. I think they should give themselves a lot of grace, because what happens is, by your statistics, 80% of people fail within the first 2 weeks and they give it up. And then what you have is this big resurgence around March where everybody's like bikini body or whatever it is they're focused on, right? And then they re-engage.
Interesting.
So they give up for a couple of months rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to set this intention. It's not a resolution. And the other thing is, people like, I don't know about you, but they like make these big lists and they're telling everybody about it. And then there's all this pressure because then everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to drink anymore. I don't drink anymore. And then by the second week of January, there they are with a cocktail in their hand. Everybody's like, see, I knew you were going to get back on the sauce. It just was a matter of when. And then you're like, yeah, you know, you're right. You're right. And then you just give up. Just keep it to yourself. Like, you don't need to announce it to the whole freaking wide world. And also, everybody wants to change everything all at once. Like, so if you want to make a change in January, I'm all about a New Year's. New Year's Eve is one of my favorite holidays. It used to be my favorite holiday, but I've never made a New Year's resolution I've stuck to.
Really? In
Never.
your whole life?
In my whole life. I've never made one that I made on January 1st, that on December 31st, I'm like, did it. Checked it off.
Interesting.
Have you?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm not like such a hard line person that I feel like if I fall off a little bit, I can't get back on. So I'd say I'm more like goal focused. I'm not like, the minute someone says you can't, well, then I'm like, now I really want to. And I like to think of goals like you're in a car, you're going on a road trip. Let's say you're driving in New York City and you get off on the wrong exit. You don't get out of the car and scream and yell and say, I'm a loser, I'm so dumb, why did I do that? No, you just get back in the car, your GPS reroutes, you find your way back on the road. It's going to take you a little bit longer to get to New York City, but you're going to get there still. So I kind of like, that's my approach to that kind of.
Yeah, and that's a different mindset, because a lot of people do get off and scream and yell.
Yeah.
And go, why me? And they go into that victim mentality, right?
Yes.
And then there's like this whole brouhaha, and there's a big fight at the, gas station, and everybody hates everybody in the car. And then you regroup and you get back on the road, and you went through all of that. You end up going and getting to the same place you got to.
Yes.
But there's a lot more pain in getting there, right?
True.
Because you took all that detour time just to be pissed. And that's where that shift is, okay, I'm going to set these intentions. And I think, how we even verbalize what we're doing. Like, you didn't say I set a resolution. You said I set a goal.
Yeah.
Right? I set a goal for myself, and I'm not so resolute on when that goal has to be achieved.
Yeah.
So I think setting the intention is great. Set the intention, know what you want to focus on, and then give yourself a lot of grace, because nobody is great at it the first time.
Right.
The first time you're driving somewhere, you don't know the way, and you're going to make some mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
But then if you drive that road enough, you can do it with your eyes closed, and you can even get to the point where you get to your final destination. You don't even know how you got there, but
Yes.
not the first time.
And that takes me to this, like, let's start sharing some tips how to find your, let's call it a New Year's goal. And also then how to like keep them motivated and going. So one of my like go-to is I like to close my eyes in January or whatever month you're listening to this, and think of the dream version, no limits version of you in December of 2026. Dream version. And when I first was like doing this with some clients, life coaching clients, one of them was like, well, I'd love to work out in the morning, but I'm not a morning person. I said, no, dream version. In this version, you are a morning person that works out in the morning. and just get very, very detailed. I mean, think of what a day on a weekday is like. Think of what a day on a weekend is like, and write it down. Something amazing happens when you write goals, like physically. You read it, you see it, you can, you know what I mean? Your hand is moving with the pen and paper. And I think that's a really good, if you're not sure what you want your resolution to be or what you want your goal to be, like, go visit that future version of you. I think that's a good step one.
I love that. I think there's so much that comes into all of that with you're listening really to that inner wisdom within you, right? You're giving that a chance to talk and say, okay, we're going to shut out all the noise of what you don't believe in about yourself. If you could be the very best version of yourself, who is she or he on 12/31/26? Who is that person? Also, there's something you said that I thought was really profound, and it was whatever month you're listening. You don't have to start a New Year resolution January 1st. You can start your New Year resolution December 2nd. It doesn't matter because all that ultimately matters is where you're headed towards. When you start heading there is not the point. The destination is the point. And so don't give up. Like, it can be July 7th and you go, it's my new year. I'm going to now reset. I'm going to restart. You can restart every second of every day. You can restart.
And I actually think there's a second New Year's Eve, and it's the school year. Like September 1st or August 25th or whenever, like, kids are going back to school, that is the other restart to the year, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I think it's really good. Okay, so now that, like, you've, you know, paused the podcast and created the dream version of you, and you realized a couple New Year's goals, now I want to talk about ways to keep them and keep them cooking, you know? So one thing I think is you do need to be very specific. You do not want it to be, I want to lose weight. You want it to be, I want to lose 25 pounds, or I want to have this much body fat or muscle percentage or whatever. Very, very, very specific. And I've heard it said it's like doing a big flashlight versus doing a laser pointer, right? That laser pointer is going to really help you hone in on the goal. Another thing I think is so important is make it fun. And you always hear, like, enjoy the journey. But seriously, how do you make this moment, this goal, more fun? Let's just stick with the weight loss because that's a common one. If I was told I have to make that really fun, I would start researching fun recipes. I would start, like, seeing if friends want to meal prep with me. I would start I would throw a Weight Watchers 0 point party where everybody brings food from Weight Watchers at 0 points. Like, make it fun, because as soon as you can enjoy the journey to the goal, you will start, like, it'll be easier and lighter. The problem comes, I think, is when we're, like, gritting our teeth and, like, white knuckling to the goal, and we're like, we'll be happy when we're there. When we reach our goal, then we can relax and be happy. But the trick is actually to make the right now so fun that it makes it easier and lighter, and then you won't lose stamina to reach the goal.
Okay, I agree with you. A couple of points I want to make in that is your fun doesn't have to look like somebody else's.
Totally.
So it sounds terrible to me to have a 0 point party. I would hate that. I don't want to follow points. I don't want to count my calories. I actually don't want to set a specific goal. Specific goals are soul crushers for me because the minute I get off track on that specific goal, I want to give up. I just think I've blown the whole thing. For me, it's a mental game. That's how I work. Everybody works differently. I'm not saying don't set a specific number or a specific percentage or any of that. Know what works for you. I need a lot of flexibility. I need a lot of freedom. I need to not have to think. I need it to be easy. The easier it is for me, the more likely I am to stick to it.
Yeah.
So for me, rigidity is not going to work. Fanfare is not going to work because that's so many people now who know what I'm doing. So if I make a mistake, they know when I've made the mistake. I feel, not that they are doing that, but I feel like they're watching me, like I'm being judged. So I put a lot more pressure on myself than I need to put on myself when I do that. That being said, make your goal specific, but make it one you can stick to. And don't make 10 goals all at once.
Yes, that's huge, actually.
Make one goal. When you get really rock solid with that one goal, that's when you layer in your second one. And then you build from there and make the first one easy as hell to stick to.
Yeah, I think that's right. I actually think if and when you reach that one goal, I think along the way you'll already naturally have accomplished a lot of other things, just naturally. But you're right. Start with one. That was like another big statistic. The minute people go above one big goal, that's when it kind of goes off the rails. A couple other things, making a resolution. Don't make it from guilt. Make it from like a desire, like something you really want. And it's not just weight on the specific. It could be money. You don't want to just like save more money. You want to save X amount of money in the bank, or once a week save this much. That specific.
Can I interrupt really quick on that?
Yes.
Another point on that is when you are looking at the goal. So you're saying, okay, I want to save this amount of money, or I want to pay off this much debt by the end of the year.
Yes.
That's the end result. But really the goal is how I'm going to do that. So what are the action steps I'm going to take to get there? So if I am someone who is debt-free at the end of 2026, what are the behaviors that someone does today? That is the goal. The goal is I am someone that doesn't get Starbucks coffee every day, and instead the $5 that I found for the Starbucks, I'm going to put in savings. And at the end of the month, I'm going to take all of that money I didn't spend on Starbucks, I'm going to put it on my credit card. That's my goal. That's what I'm going to do. The goal is not the end result. The goal is the daily action I'm going to take to get to that end result.
I like that. That's good. Yes. Okay, here's another thing. Human brains are wired to keep you safe, and part of that safety is like comfort. Like your brain would love it if you sat on the couch and ate Doritos all day, because that feels like there's no danger. And the human brain doesn't know about real danger, like a saber-toothed tiger chasing us, versus fake danger of like being uncomfortable by not getting your Starbucks coffee. It does not know the difference. So, big dramatic change bothers the brain. It makes it like, ooh, like nervous. But if you can just start with a small change, a small habit, like skipping dessert on the weekend, or like you said, skipping your Starbucks coffee twice a week or whatever, that is going to create the repetition. And if it's intentional, that will kind of help, you'll grow towards the goal. Another thing that's really good that I heard or I read in a book once, willpower is like gas in the car. It's not if you have it or you don't have it. Your tank is full in the morning, but by the end of the day, the tank's running low. So I think sometimes make more of those challenging decisions, those goal-oriented decisions, make them happen in the morning. And that way, by the end of the day, you're good. You're not like having to wrestle this with like a quarter of tank of motivation left or whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I love that. I 100% agree. You start your mornings with the thing that's the toughest. So if you are someone who doesn't like to work out on a regular basis, first of all, when it comes to working out, find something you love to do. On all of these tips, make it yours. It doesn't need to look like what society tells you it needs to look like.
Huge.
Right?
Huge.
I mean, if you want to get and dance off in your bedroom before you get ready, that's movement. That counts. Dance, wiggle, do the whole thing. That is movement. It counts, and you can count it. It doesn't have to be that you got in your car and drove to the gym and did the same amount of output, but you were in a gym, so it counted, and it didn't count when I did it at home. It counts. It matters. But what I wanted to say is the point you're making about your body is going to feel uncomfortable. No matter what you're shifting, you are going to feel uncomfortable. Your nervous system will choose the negative thing if that's what's familiar. So in an instance for me, I used to be someone who was a very emotional eater. I regulated my nervous system through food, specifically through cookies. Loved cookies. If
they're delicious.
I mean, they're delicious. Who can argue with a cookie? Just a little innocent cookie. But when you have 12 of them, you've blown your day's calories on regulating your nervous system via cookies. So even though I knew 6 cookies in, I'm making a big mistake here, my nervous system was like, but we're feeling a lot better. We're shifting out of being pissed or upset or hurt on this one thing into just thinking, well, tomorrow I won't eat 12 cookies, but I'll go ahead and finish these today. And now we're not worrying about this other thing because we're so focused and we're numbing this other way. We will still choose the thing we know isn't good for us. Long term, it's not good for us. We will still choose it in the moment because it's how our nervous system is used to being regulated. And if you're choosing another thought, another way, another action until your nervous system has been proven that this also works, it's going to prompt that craving for you to do that other thing. And you're going to be fighting that. That's the reality of it. So you've got to have a plan B. When my nervous system is starting to create these thoughts in my head, like just have that cookie, just one cookie won't hurt you. Well, one cookie won't hurt you. 12 cookies are probably not the best course of action. One cookie is going to lead to 12 until you've gotten that under control. So what is a plan B when that voice in your head comes? Do you go to something else that you love that won't have a negative impact, a long-term negative impact? So maybe you take a bath. There are no cookies in the bath. Don't take the cookie jar with you. I've done that though. Don't do Leave the cookie jar where it belongs. Or better yet, throw the cookies out the minute the cookies start talking to you. Throw them away and tell the cookies, you don't have control here. I have control here. I'm going to go take a bath. I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to go take a walk. I am going to go dance. I am going to go breathe. I'm going to find my plan B that works for me, that is going to regulate my nervous system and shut down that noise.
Love that. No, I think that's really good. Make sure you really get the cookies in the trash. You don't want them on top where you might dig them out.
I've also done that.
Who hasn't done that? That's how you know you're an adult. Okay, so should we take a listener question?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have the question? All right. What do I do when it's the second week of January and I have blown my resolution?
Okay, great question, because I think this is going to relate to a lot of people. I feel like it's just that car thing. You got to get back in that car and don't beat yourself up, and just know that sometimes we get off on the wrong exit and the GPS course corrects and then we're back on the path. But I think people will use the word should a lot, and it's so disempowering, and it creates such a victim mentality. You're basically saying something terrible went wrong, that now it's all messed up, and that's just not true. Maybe you were meant to fall off course so that you'd get the motivation to stay on it for the next 9 months or whatever, but I think self-love, self-acceptance, and I think it's important to talk to yourself kindly, and I know that's hard for a lot of people, but if you can envision yourself as a child and just say, hey girl, I love you, it's okay, we got it, we fell off, we're back on, and we got this. I know we got this. And also, I think it's really good to write a list of evidence. Like if you're struggling with saving money or something, write a list of evidence and how you have actually been very good with money over the years. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever lived in a cardboard box? Have you ever, whatever the things are, have you ever not been able to feed your family, even if it was like noodles in a jar of sauce? How are you proving yourself? Because what you want is your brain to gather evidence to back up that you're good at the thing. Because whatever thoughts you think in your brain, these are facts, your brain's going to look to prove it true. So when you have that negative self-talk, Like, I'm never going to make my goal or whatever. Your brain's like, oh, you heard the boss. Let's go prove it true. So it's very important to like love and accept the fall off and then get right back on and say, I've had success for this many days. I know I can have success for that much more. And you don't even have to look too far down the road. You can just think like, hey, can I do it today? Can I make that goal happen today? Hey, can I do it, the next day? Because sometimes it seems so daunting and overwhelming. Like, can I do this for 25 years? No, just like a day at a time. And there's a saying, inch by inch, it will be a cinch. Yard by yard, it will be hard. So break it down because you're like caveman brain. Sometimes you need that.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think when you are looking at sticking to a goal, you have to realize nobody does it 100% of the time. No one. That would be a miserable existence. We have to give ourselves the ability to have wiggle room. What is going to matter over the course of 365 days? What you did the first 2 weeks of January? No, it's what you do 80% of the time.
Yeah.
So those 20% where you aren't in alignment with what your goal or your intention was, that's okay. Those are teaching moments. Those are moments where you're actually building trust with yourself.
Yes.
Because once you move past that moment and you're in the next one, and in the next one, you make the choice that's more aligned with your goals, what you are learning is I can, in this one moment, not be aligned, and in the next one, be aligned.
Right.
It doesn't have to derail the entire year. It's just one moment. So something that's always helped for me with sticking with a new goal or intention is in this one moment. Can I do it right now? Not even this one day.
No, it's
in
good.
This moment, can I make a better choice? I'm not going to worry about the next moment or the moment before it. But in this one moment, can I make the right choice and move from that place? And if you didn't in that one moment, then the next moment, come right back at it. Okay, now. And that's how you build trust. Because ultimately, once you trust yourself, those little slip-ups, even if you want to call it that, which I don't really call it that, just those teachable moments where you are starting to build that trust with yourself, those don't mean anything because okay, well, in the next moment I'll make a better choice because that's what I do. I always have. I 80% of the time make the right choice.
I love that. I love that. And one more little hot tip that really helped me. I used to always want to be a morning worker outer girl, and now I am. But I remember like sometimes in the beginning when it was like a hard day, like early, like 5 a.m. and I didn't feel like it, I would talk to myself and I would break it down into the tiniest morsel of a bite. And I'd say, okay, Marcy, just get up and put on your sports bra. That's it. And then if you want to get back into bed, you can totally do it. So I'd put on the bra. Okay, now just get your leggings on. That's it. If you want to get back in bed. And I would literally baby step it. Now get your shoes. Now get your coat. Now go to the car. If you want to go to the car and go right back to bed, you can. But let's just get to the car. And I would do this the whole way to exercise. And I would do it. But I had to just break it down so small and basically take it one step at a time. But that's what did it. And also at first, when I was very first starting, I would sleep in my workout clothes and like roll out of bed and go early. But I think I was just trying to wick away any resistance, like make it as easy as you can.
So I love the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Totally changed my life. It is the foundation for how I lost my weight. I've lost 170 pounds. It's how I shifted my mindset. And in there, he tells a story. And making it easy is one of the principles. It's one of the laws. But he tells this story of a man who wanted to be someone who worked out every morning. So in the beginning, what he would do is he would get up, he would get ready at the time he wanted to go to the gym, and he would drive to the gym. And he would sit in the parking lot for 10 minutes, and he would drive home. He never even walked into the gym because he needed to build the habit of going to the gym.
Interesting.
He needed to prove to himself he could do that. Then what was the next step he took? He got out of the car, he went in for 10 minutes. He did that every day. He made it easy. And eventually, he became someone who went to the gym at 6 a.m. most mornings. And that became who he was. But it wasn't who he was when he started. He had to start small. And so, it's that 1% change you make that compounds as you make the next 1% and the next 1%. And all of a sudden, it becomes, I'm somebody who goes to the gym every day.
Nice.
You and I, we both work out pretty regularly. When I started my journey 3 years ago, I never would have thought I could sit today and be someone that says, I do Pilates 5 days a week.
Right.
I would have been like, you are out of your mind. I will never be someone who does Pilates 5 days a week. And here I am.
Yeah.
That never, if I would have tried to have been that person 3 years ago, I would still have 170 pounds on me.
And that's why it's so important to visualize the dream version of you in December 2026 or whenever that year end is when you're listening to this, because it is possible. Like, you could be the person that works out 5 days a week, or you could be the person that has $1 million in the bank, or you could be the person that is, I don't know, whatever
debt free.
Yeah, debt free, or married with children, or whatever your goal is. Yes. But you have to envision them first. Like, that's got to be number one. And just think, and you don't even have to believe it's possible. You can just think, maybe. Like, I mean, if someone else done it,
fuck around and find out.
Yeah. If someone else has done it, you could do it. You're a human, they're a human. It's possible.
And it's possible even if you failed 99 other times.
That's right. It's
still possible. You have breath in you. It is possible.
That's right.
Okay, so let's shift now.
Yes.
If you were going to give somebody advice on what action step they could take this week to start to shift into the dream version of themselves, no matter when that dream version of themselves shows up, what would you suggest?
Okay. Instantly, I go to pick one goal and then figure out ways to make it easy, like less resistance. Like, if it's exercising, lay out the workout outfit, like have the YouTube pulled up on your television or whatever, like take away all the resistance. Or if it's lose weight, maybe take all your junk food and tell your kids we're keeping it in the basement now. I want to do this. I want to try this, Or if it's saving money, look at your bank account. What are some things you could remove from the spending line? Or I'm trying to think of other goals that people set New Year's resolution wise.
It's usually around losing weight, money, drinking.
Okay, yes. So if you were trying to quit drinking, I think I would figure out what time are my triggers? Is it evening? Is it when friends call? Is it when I go out to dinner? And then I would think of ways to simplify that or make that easier or more comfortable. And prevention. What about you? What would be your one tip?
Okay, this one tip really shifted things for me. And it was changing that narrative in your head about who you are.
Ooh, yes, good.
So a friend of ours shared this with me, and it's something I adopt daily. And she used the example of she wasn't a runner, but she wanted to become a runner. She had a very good friend that she admired, that she wanted to run with. So she, even though she wasn't a runner, every day would get up and say, I'm a runner. I'm going to go run. And she would put on her shoes and she would run to the stop sign. And she was right. She was a runner because she got up and she ran to the stop sign. Yeah. And then she would run a little bit further. But the narrative in her head was, I am somebody who runs every day. And another example she said is there was somebody in her office who always kept candy on their desk. And she would walk by and she would eat that candy and move on with her day all day long. Every time she walked by, she'd grab a piece of candy. Well, she wasn't happy with that behavior. And so she adopted the mindset of, I am not someone who eats other people's candy. And so she'd walk by that candy bowl and she'd say, I'm not someone who eats other people's candy. I am someone who doesn't eat other people's candy. And she bought into that narrative. And so when, for instance, Pilates, I am someone who goes to Pilates 5 days a week. I am someone who gets up every day and starts her day with Pilates. Most days that's true. 80% of the time that's true. The 20% that it's not true, I let it go. But that's the narrative in my head. Instead of saying, I'm a piece of shit because I want to stay in bed today. On the 20% days, that's not the narrative I adopt. I am somebody who goes to Pilates most days.
Love it. That's good.
All right, that's our shift for today.
Go live, laugh, and do one bold thing before the next episode drops.
Follow us at No More Bullshift and keep the conversation going.
Because if you can't laugh about it,
You probably still need to shift it.